If your blood runs orange and blue, this is the pod for you. You're listening to Orange and Blue Bloods, hosted by EJ Stewart and Tommy Beer. Let's get to it.
So let's just gears here and talk about the Ja Morant situation. So he's suspended again pending a league investigation after he was seen on Instagram live flashing what appeared to be a gun this past weekend. This is the second time Morant has been suspended for brandishing a gun on IG Live. He was suspended 8 games, suspended weekend at a Florida rehab facility after he streamed himself partying in a strip club while waving a gun outside of Denver in March. And now you have this recent incident where he's also seen on IG Live flashing a gun. Morant was the second pick in the 2019 NBA draft, one spot behind Pelicans forward Zion Williamson and one spot ahead of Knicks forward RJ Barrett. So I do want to ask you how you feel about what Ja's going through and how the NBA's got to handle it. But first, do you think that at this point, when we look at where the draft is, the Knicks were fortunate not to land one of those top 2 picks when it comes to Ja Morant and the issues that Zion Williamson's dealt with?
Yeah, listen, obviously it's tough to speculate. Would Zion stay healthy if he was a Knick? Would Ja Morant be in more trouble if he came to the Big Apple? Obviously there's a kid with terrible decision, his difficulty, issues with maturity, decision making is awful, surrounding himself with the wrong people. Listen, from that respect, it's hindsight's 2020, but you have to be happy with I think that was one of the selling points for Barrett was, this is a kid that's his parents met at St. John's, has been in the spotlight all his life since high school, number one rated, sophomore and junior, and national star for Canada, and he's really lived up to the hype and delivered since arriving. So there's a lot to like there, obviously.
Yeah, it's tough because we know, Zion and Ja Morant have more talent than RJ Barrett. That's yes, without question. But it just seems like there's other things with these guys. And these guys, both of them, seem to be struggling with the pressure of what came with being the number 2 pick in that draft. So if you have that pressure in New Orleans and Memphis, what does that pressure look like in New York City with Knicks fans? Like that's a whole different deal. And you talk about Ja Morant coming to the Big Apple. And when you said that, the first thing I thought about are very different gun laws in New York. I mean, is Ja Morant facing serious legal situations? Because if he really loves guns as much and then he's a gun enthusiast or whatever he's going through, if he's doing this in New York, are these investigations or are these things becoming a lot bigger than they already are for Ja in Memphis and wherever he's been, Colorado's other state where he was shown flashing a gun. So that becomes an interesting thing as well. I think that at this point, I can't look at that draft right now and say, the Knicks really missed out, and I really wish they would have gotten number 2. Maybe that was true, and maybe it will be true. Those guys still have plenty of career ahead of them, you would hope. But right now, today, I don't necessarily feel like I'm clamoring to have Ja or Zion Williamson at the face of my franchise right now.
And the other thing is, listen, when Porzingis, then it was viewed as a 3-player draft, and the Porzingis draft, with D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns and Okafor. Everyone thought Okafor was going to be a stud, and Porzingis,
I thought he was great.
So it just goes to show you, it's an inexact science to say the least.
How do you think the NBA handles the Ja suspension or how this whole thing plays out?
I think they come down heavy, and I think they should. I thought they gave him kind of the benefit of the doubt and said, listen, we'll give you one more chance. And he blew that chance a few months later. A few things, which all can be true. I think let's keep the person in mind. I understand the anger at Ja Morant, but to me, it's kind of a cry for help. This kid is clearly troubled in some way, shape, or form. He's willing to throw away literally hundreds of millions of dollars to look cool or portray a character on IG Live and social media. There's issues there. Hopefully he gets the help he needs. That being said, that doesn't excuse the actions because they're inexcusable. NBA has to send a strong message here. This is the kid that they want to be a face of the franchise. And, and the other thing is, JJ Redick getting grief for. I also tweeted a little bit about it as well. The hypocrisy and the incongruence between elected officials and politicians sending out Christmas cards with weapons of war, AK-15s, and we won't get too deep into that. But there's no denying the hypocrisy there. But again, all that being said, as far as the NBA in particular, they have to address this. They have to address it strongly. I think 40 games, 30 games, 25 games, 25 to 50 games, somewhere in that range is what we're looking at, I would assume.
Yeah. I think something north of 20 to 25 has to be the line here. If you gave him 8 the first time, and I understand where JJ Redick and other pundits and people comment on this are saying. I understand the dichotomy. I understand the racial dynamics that come with this as well. I do think that what concerns me about so much of the attention on the hypocrisies is the lack of concern for Ja's safety with what he's doing. Like what I keep hearing is so many people being like, well, if he did nothing illegal, why is he getting in trouble? And I'm like, why are people so concerned about him getting in trouble? I'm concerned about him saving his life. I'm concerned about how he's going to saving other people's lives, potentially, if he's being so cavalier with firearms. And if the way to get to him is to say, hey, you got to sit down and we're going to take away some money and take away some gains from you in order to understand the brevity of what he's actually doing, then that's great, because it may actually save some lives. It may save his own life. It may save his own career.
The best piece of advice I heard was a caller who called into NBA radio, the morning show, and said, don't go to rehab and all that stuff is great. Have Ja Morant spend a month with Jason Williams, not the white chocolate, the former net Jason Williams, who shot his limo driver, obviously ended his life, ended Williams' career. That's the type of thing when you mess around with guns. The vast majority of casualties are accidental, in terms of, when you're with friends and things along those lines. All that considered, it's clear Morant, to your point, just doesn't understand the ramifications of messing, and it's silly, ignorant stuff, and it's dangerous.
Yeah, and we could say, well, what if you don't know the guns were loaded? All right, it's all right. Well, so what if someone sees you in a car waving a gun? What if it's a cop who sees you waving a gun? How do you know that you don't have a cop that maybe has a quick trigger and wants to maybe rectify a situation? How do you know you're not bringing maybe bad elements into your life, into your crew's life, with how you're playing around in public with guns? Like, that doesn't bring anything positive. So that's the concern I have, and I understand the hypocrisies, but I think that a lot of people are missing the boat when it comes to why Ja has to serve a long suspension in my eyes, and he has to see the ramification of his actions through some form of strong punishment. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest podcast ventures. Links will be in the descriptions. And as always, thanks for watching, and we will see you in our next video.